Good morning, dear students. Today we're going to learn something about the amazing world around us. This is Unit 8 in the Students Book. And as you can see here in the picture, we have 4 or 5 places. Bridge. I want you to look at this box. We have bridge, city, pyramid, tower, and tunnel. Now let's see these pictures here. Number 1, this is the pyramid, a pyramid. Number 2, a city. This is a city. Number 3, the bridge. The bridge is something that we go up or climb to go from one side to the other side. And of course, this is a tower, like the Cairo Tower here in Cairo. And this is a tunnel. Again, pyramid, city, bridge, tower, and a tunnel. Now let's look at the following page, page 13, and we have some questions on the previous page. Match the measurements and the photos on page 12. It's 148 meters high. Of course, this is number 1. This is the pyramid. Number 2, it's about 25,000 meters long. This is the bridge. Number C, more than 37,500,000 people live there. This is the city, because the city is always very crowded. Number D, it's just under 850 years old. This is the tower, because it's not very old. Number E, it's 2.3 kilometers deep under the ground. This is the tunnel. Tunnel is something under the ground, also to go from one side to the other side of the city. Now look at exercise number 3, and we want to learn something about asking questions about places. Work in pairs, make questions, then answer the question and ask and answer. How long? We want to use these words to form a question using how long. How long is the Cairo-Alexandria Desert Road? It's 220 kilometers long. Number 2, how deep? We use how deep to ask about the depth of the sea, the depth of the lake. How deep is Lake Baikal in Russia? It's 1,642 meters deep. Number 3, how high is Abraj Al Bait Clock Tower in Saudi Arabia? It is 601 meters high. How old is the Luxor Temple? It's just under 3,500 years old. How many people live in Cairo? More than 20 million people live in Cairo. Now we have other places here, and we want to describe these places. Now I want you to look at the box of the new vocabulary. We have crowded. Crowded means full of people or full of things. And the opposite of crowded is empty. Empty, it means that there's nothing in it. Low is the opposite of high. Modern is the opposite of old or ancient. Narrow means it's the opposite of wide. Noisy, this is the opposite of quiet. Old, the opposite of young or modern. White, this is the opposite of noisy. Tall, the opposite of short. And wide, the opposite of narrow. Now let's look at these places. The pyramid, this is number 8. The Pyramids of Giza, the Red Pyramid, the Shanghai Tower, the Al Hamra Tower, Bangkok, and Brasilia. Now, how can we describe each of these places? the Pyramid of Giza, we can say that the Pyramids of Giza are very old. The red pyramid, we can say that it's white and it's also old. The Shanghai Tower, we can describe it as tall. The Shanghai Tower is very tall. Al-Hamra Tower is modern and tall. Bangkok, this is the city of Bangkok. It's crowded. And Brasilia, this is another city, Brasilia. We can describe it as very quiet. Now we have a grammar lesson in this unit, and this grammar lesson is about comparative of adjectives. Comparative of adjectives. And as you know, we have two types of adjectives. We have short adjectives and long adjectives. Short adjectives and long adjectives. Short adjectives like high, big, tall, small, the adjectives that consist of 5 or 6 letters at most, like tall, short, big, small. And we have long adjectives, for example, like beautiful, expensive, dangerous, interesting. It has more than 6 letters. Okay, if you want to compare between two things, for short adjectives, we use ER, like high, higher, and we add the word than. High, higher than. Big, bigger than. For example, we can say the elephant is bigger than the lion. We are comparing between two animals. So we use ER and then, bigger than. And we double G, we put double G here because we have a vowel in the middle of the word. We have a vowel before the G. So when we add ER, we double G and then we add ER. Noisy, we have Y at the end. So we change the Y to I and then add ER because we have a consonant letter or sound before the Y. So we change it to I and then add ER. Tall, of course, this is a short adjective. So the comparative, taller than, we add ER and then. Modern and crowded, these are long adjectives. Long adjectives, it means that we can never add ER because they are long. So to compare between two things, we use more modern than or less modern than. More crowded than or less crowded than. For example, we can say Cairo is more crowded than Alexandria, or Alexandria is less crowded than Cairo. This is for the long adjectives. So again, we have short adjectives, we add ER and then, and we have long adjectives, we add more or less than. And then we have the part of irregular adjectives. Irregular adjectives. We have here only 3 adjectives. Good, to compare between two things, we use better than. Bad, so we use worse than. Far, farther than, we can use FU or FA. Farther than or further than, it means not near. Okay, now look at exercise number 5 here. Work in pairs, make sentences with these words. Mount Everest is high, Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Everest is higher than Mount Kilimanjaro. Now we are comparing between two mountains. So we use ER, we add ER to the adjective and then. Okay, number 2, the Nile River is long the Amazon. The Nile River is longer than the Amazon. Number 3, Cairo is more crowded than Aswan, because this is a long adjective, more crowded than. The pyramids at Giza are easier for tourists to visit than the Red Pyramid. Are easier than, of course, when we write easier, we change the Y to I before adding ER. Now let's turn to page 16. We're going to read something about a place here in Cairo called the Tahya Masr Bridge. The Tahya Masr Bridge. Now we're going to read the world's widest suspension bridge opened in Cairo in May 2019. Suspension, it means that it's high, it's not low, it's very high suspension. It's 67.36 meters wide and 540 meters long. More than 4,000 people helped to build it. They started building it in 2015. They finished it in 32 months. The bridge crosses the Nile's Warraq Island. More than 100 people live on the island. Many people enjoy walking across the bridge. It has a glass floor. It means that the floor is made of glass. So you can see the river under your feet. The best time to cross the bridge is at sunset. Okay, what is sunset? This is the end of the day. The end of the day when the sun starts going down. This is the sunset, and the opposite is sunrise. For a beautiful view, view means sight of the city. Now let's look at the questions here. How wide is it? It's 67.36 meters wide. How long is it? How long is this bridge? It's, as you can see here, it's about 540 meters long. How many people helped to build it? More than 4,000 people helped to build it. Number 4, how long did it take to build? It took about 32 months. Number 5, what do you think sunset means? We said that sunset means the end of the day when the sun starts going down. And why is it the best time to walk across the bridge? Because if you want to enjoy a beautiful view of the city, so the best time to walk on the bridge is during the sunset. Now let's turn to page 17. We have a box with some adjectives. As you can see here, beautiful, cheap, dangerous, deep, empty, long, low, modern, narrow, old, quiet, safe, and ugly. If we want to use the superlative, superlative here means that we're going to compare between more than two things. More than two things. For example, I can say, in your class, for example, Muhannad is the tallest boy in the class. Muhannad is the tallest boy in the class. It means that we compare Muhannad to the other boys or students in the class. So we compare more than two. Again, if we compare only two things, we use ER and then, like taller than. Muhannad is taller than Mahmoud, for example. If I compare between Muhannad and Mahmoud, so we use ER and then. Okay, if I want to compare Muhannad to the other boys or to the other student, Muhannad is the tallest boy in the class. And if the adjective is long, you use most or least. The most beautiful, the least dangerous. Okay, now look at this exercise and correct the adjective, comparative or superlative. This is page 17. Some people think math is the most difficult subject of all. We compare between math and all the other subjects. So we use most difficult or the most difficult. But I think it's easier than social studies. Here we compare between math and social studies, only two subjects, so we use ER and then. Number 2, I'm shorter than my brother, comparing two persons. I am shorter than my brother, but my sister is taller than him. She is the tallest in our family. I compare my sister to the other members of the family. So she is the tallest in our family. Number 3, ice skating is safer than skiing. Safer, we're going to add R only because we already have E at the end of the adjective. But mountain climbing is the most dangerous sport of all. It's also the most expensive sport. Number 4, on Saturdays, the market is quieter than on Friday. Quiet is a short adjective, so we use ER, quieter than on Friday. The busiest day at the market is Friday. The busiest day, we're going to change Y to I before adding ER. Some of the oldest buildings in the world are also the most beautiful. Okay, now we're going to read about the Grand Egyptian Museum. The Grand Egyptian Museum. The oldest museum in Cairo opened in 1835. There were more than 160,000 of Egypt's most valuable treasures on display. Treasures, very valuable and expensive things. Treasures, very valuable and expensive things. The museum did not have space Now let's read something about other places. We had a wonderful holiday in Egypt. These are my opinions about 3 of the most interesting places. The Valley of the Kings in Luxor is one of the most popular places for tourists to visit. We went early because that is the quietest time. My brother said, "This is fantastic. I'm sure it gets busier later on during the day." The biggest place we went to was the Karnak Temple. My favorite part was a hypostyle hall, a 5,000 square meter room with 134 stone columns. Columns, these are called columns. These are columns. I think it was more crowded than the Valley of the Kings. In my opinion, the best and the quietest place we visited was Habu Temple. It has columns similar to those at Karnak, but because it's less crowded, you can study them for longer. Now, let's look at these questions. Look quickly at the text and choose the correct answer. This is a website review. Now let's look at the questions. When did the writer go to the Valley of the Kings, and why did he or she go there? He went to the Valley of the Kings early in the morning, early, because it's the quietest time to visit this place. He went there early because this is the quietest time to visit this place. Number 2, how big was the hypostyle hall? How big was it? It was the hypostyle. Here was more than, or it was 5,000 square meters room. Number 3, which place had more people than the Valley of the Kings? The hypostyle hall had more places because he said that it was more crowded than the Valley of the Kings. Number 4, which place did the writer prefer and why? He preferred he liked the Habu Temple, because it was the quietest place he has visited. Number 5, what did the writer's brother say? Here is the answer. He said that this is fantastic and it gets busier later on during the day. Now let's look at page 21. We're going to answer exercise number 3. My uncle is the oldest person in my family. Number 2, trains are faster than planes. Number 3, Egypt is sunnier and hotter than Germany. Number 4, in my opinion, history is the most interesting subject. Number 5, I think motorbikes are more dangerous than bikes. Number 6, the Nile is the longest river in the world. It's even longer than the Amazon.